take over if you want. Take some stuff off my plate.
I don't have time for that.
I'm good. I'm set in my role.
I'm just here.
Yeah, know your role.
And shut your
Fired.
mouth.
All right, welcome back to another Wisco Fanatics Friday night episode. We have Simon and Bryant, our Packer experts this season. Hopefully, moving forward, if they would like to.
Expert is a real generous term.
No, you know what? Tyler's on some shit today, but I like Simon and Bryant. They're some of my favorite people. They're awesome. They add great content to this show. So we have a lot on the lineup tonight. It's going to be exciting. What are you guys most excited for? Simon, what are you most excited for? What segment are you most excited for?
Probably the preseason recap. Probably the preseason recap. I did do bold predictions though. I was thinking about them earlier.
In the middle of the episode, you're just gonna hear.
5 seconds. That's
I'm just gonna be typing them up as we're going.
I was thinking about them, so it helps a little bit.
And then I got high.
Told you.
He's gonna have
get up, come down.
Off the cuff predictions.
No, they're not that
most
bad.
Excited for, man?
I'm excited for this preseason recap we're going to go to, and then the stat predictions because as the viewers will see, we were so in sync on ours, and we did them all separately, and then we averaged them, and so the fact that we're all kind of on the same mind track is awesome, and I'm excited to talk about
I'll give you that is something that I think does bring it closer to experts. The fact that we're not all over the place on those projections.
Mm-hmm.
We're each gonna for every player that we projected, we did 6 on offense and 6 on defense. We're gonna talk about some of the more outlying statistical projections that we did for the 6 players, but overall they were pretty close, and that was interesting to see how close we actually were.
Yeah, Tyler was our mathematician. He averaged them all out because he's the smart guy in the group. I'm not afraid to say that. Tyler, what are you most excited for? Which one are you most excited for, man?
That's tough. I think I'm excited for the stat projections just because we put a lot of work into that, and I think we're going to have some good discussion coming out of that.
Well, I'm boring, and I like the bold predictions because I feel like the bold predictions are the best.
That's boring though, because that's always bold. It'll be interesting to see.
But it's people either expect you to go not bold, be really vanilla, or go absolutely bananas. But I feel like we got some smart people in here. They're gonna make some accurate bold predictions. That stuff that can actually happen. That's what I did. I did 2 of them that I think can actually happen, and 1 that I think absolutely is not going to happen.
I suck with bold predictions.
Dude, you just got don't even think about
bold.
it.
Yeah, you don't even got to do anything.
Go for it.
That's the thing
have
is
to be good.
I can't be bold because I'm too logical with the way I think.
Dude, you are the most analytical person I've ever met in my entire life.
I was sitting there writing, and I was like, eh.
Dude, that's what I did with my stat predictions. You guys were like how I wasn't bullish or optimistic too. That's because I did a bunch of averages and stuff.
Yeah, you are the vanilla one when it comes to the stat projection.
I analyze everything and then I figure it out. So we'll see. We'll see at the end of the year, though.
That's what I'm looking forward to, is keeping the receipts and checking it out. So I went and picked up food today before we started, and I'm standing waiting for my food, and I got a guy complimenting me on my shirt. So I got to thank Tyler from Wisco Ball for hooking me up with this Nirvana style green base shirt. I got a compliment on that. So got to thank Tyler from Wisco Ball for sending that over to me and coming up with some cool designs for that. But we're gonna get started. So we're gonna start as we talk about the preseason. We're gonna start with Jordan Love because he honestly. I don't know strictly Packers fans, but I'm going to speak for Packers, Bucks, Brewers, Badgers. In my entire experience, I have never, maybe Chris Middleton, seen a player as divisive as Jordan Love from its own fan base. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Aaron Rodgers.
2005. Yeah, same thing. With Aaron Rodgers, right? Everyone hated him. And all these people that I put in my articles, I'm going to take credit for this, the incapable love crowd, right? They were probably all the same people that absolutely hated Aaron Rodgers the first 2 years. He looked like trash in the preseason, but with Aaron Rodgers, I'm not saying that Love is going to ever be Aaron Rodgers, and it's not fair to
we don't
him
know
ever.
Yet, but...
Yeah, I don't think it's not fair to compare him to a top 5 quarterback ever. but
Right.
he's still ascending. Like, we'll talk about it a little bit, but he literally doubled his experience this preseason. He's showing growth. I don't know why people are so ready to burn him. And he's not starting this year unless Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, and he probably won't start next year.
Oh man,
Like,
that's the whole conversation, right? So for me, I remember. So I used to, when I was in high school, I used to go to a couple practices a year with my dad. That was one thing that me and my dad always did. My dad worked a lot, so that was kind of a special moment for me to go to the Packers practice. And I remember when we switched from Favre to Rodgers, there was people literally holding signs saying "Kill Ted Thompson," "Fuck Ted Thompson." Like they were like really ready to send this guy out in a body bag, like
Jeez.
over a football player.
But
which
they
is
feel
insane.
shitty now.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure those are the first people that ordered his jersey as soon as we won the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
A couple years later. So the thing about Jordan Love is everybody wants to look at stats. And because we have a guy like Aaron Rodgers who throws 4 interceptions for the entire season and he throws 40 touchdowns, yeah, we're going to look at stats. Everybody's a box score junkie, right?
Mhm.
You can't do that. You have to watch the games. And some of the throws that he made last night were big boy throws.
Oh yeah.
Tight window, timing, right in the numbers. Like he made some big boy throws yesterday. His footwork is so much better. His pocket presence is so much better. I mean, Jordan Love is just, and LaFleur said it too. He's light years ahead of where he was last year. He looks like a whole different quarterback. Like I'm happy with him as my backup right now. I am elated. He's not going to have to start. And the argument, the thing that Simon said that got me going was, I keep arguing with Bears fans. They're like, he's trash. He's trash. I'm like, he's literally as good as your starter, dude. We don't need him. Like, we literally don't need him. He's an emergency option, and our quarterback is still as good as yours. And then you look at the rest of the roster, it's not even fucking close.
Yep.
It's not even close. Don't come at me, okay? Don't come at me at all. We got Tyler Young in the comments saying Goodson looked very good yesterday. That spin move was nasty. I'm just going to say that.
He's going to be in the next section when we talk about some preseason recap. Staying strictly with the topic of Jordan Love, when people say things like, Jordan Love is improving, he's getting better, people just take it to the extreme and they start saying things like, oh, he's your savior and, he's not going to be the next Aaron Rodgers. It's like, stop comparing him to Aaron Rodgers. That's like Jake just said. Jake just said the exact same thing. But by saying that he's improving and that we like the progression that he's making, it doesn't mean we're saying that we're ready to move on from Aaron Rodgers. It just means that we're seeing a prospect developing. That's the way that people should be looking at it, as a developing prospect, especially for Packers fans who also enjoy baseball. You should know how the development of prospects go, even if you're drafting players at positions that you don't necessarily need on your major league roster right now. Sure, Jordan Love is serving a spot as a backup quarterback, but we should be looking at him as a prospect. So I went back and I looked at the 2020 draft. Looking at first-round picks, there's already several players that have been moved on from, and the Packers still have a developing prospect in Jordan Love. So one of them, Henry Ruggs, obviously a known situation that happened there. He's never going to play football again.
Need for speed.
Yeah. The Detroit Lions picked Jeff Okudah, number 3. They're still waiting for him to pan out at cornerback. CJ Henderson is a cornerback drafted by Jacksonville. He was traded to Carolina. Not really much going on with him.
Yeah, and then they drafted a first-round corner, J.C. Horn.
God, I knew you were going to bring up Denzel Mims.
I
knew it was going to happen.
It was in addition to what you were saying, because there's a lot of
I'm getting to Denzel Mims because
Okay,
he was a guy that the Packers were rumored to be looking at Denzel Mims in the first round. He's now requesting a trade off of the Jets.
Shocker.
I guess the Panthers are rumored to be interested in him, but I wouldn't be. I wasn't interested in him when the draft came around. Number 19 pick, Damon Arnett, has been waived by 2 teams already, the Las Vegas Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs. He's played 13 games in 2 years. Number 21 pick was Jalen Rieger. Since then, Philly has drafted Devontae Smith and traded for A.J. Brown. The Packers still have a developing prospect. Now, I went and looked at the 2 picks the Packers traded to go and get from 30 to 26. The number 30 pick was a cornerback. He played 16 games as a rookie, 7 games last year. In 23 total games, he He has 19 tackles, 2 passes defensed, and 2 fumble recoveries.
Oof.
Who is it?
It was a really long name that I didn't feel like learning
Wasn't
how to
even
pronounce
worth
because it's
noting.
not important. Exactly. The 4th round pick that was selected it was traded to the Dolphins originally. They traded it to the Rams. They selected a tight end, Bryson Hopkins. He has played 10 games in 2 years. He has 1 reception for 9 yards.
That could have been our reception, Tyler.
Yep. There's your
Okay.
perspective.
Yeah.
There's your perspective.
There it is.
Yeah,
That same draft, the Packers got John Runyon in the 6th round.
Yeah, John Runyon's pretty solid.
He's
He
very
started
good.
every
He's turning
game for
into
the
a
Packers at
solid
left
starter.
guard last year.
I don't know how anyone could have actually physically watched all 3 games this season, our preseason, and not realize that he looks far more comfortable and more in rhythm in this offense and he's improved. It's the people that are looking at the box score and seeing 4 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't watch the first game where 2 of them are not on him.
Yep.
Okay. And I know people will say, well, it's him. He threw him. Okay, whatever. But those are I'll accept those for what we've seen in growth.
The same
from Jordan
thing that
Love.
happened in Game 17 last year when he threw on, I think it was Amari Rodgers, had one that got tipped and fell out of his hand and got intercepted.
And
that's out of his control at that point.
And how Jake said he made some big boy throws this last game. In San Francisco, he made even better big boy throws. They just weren't completed. This time, he was a little out of touch with Juwan Renfrew. He hits a couple of those. He has a huge game. Like, for me, and the thing is, they played the starting defense for Kansas City for most of the first half, right?
Yep.
So, and he didn't have any of his what would be probably top 4 wide receivers. The only starters he had were his offensive line, who actually had a rough go at it at first, but settled down. So, like, he played well. And it's just people that can't be optimistic, expect him to come out and start right away, that are the ones that are hating on it. I'm not saying he's going to pan out and be a great starter, but I'm certainly not ready to give up on him.
I'm honestly, like, I'll have to look at it. Like, I'll look at the entire league. But I'd feel pretty comfortable saying he's a top 5 backup in the NFL.
Yep.
Oh, easily.
And the one thing I didn't want to miss is people, like I told you guys earlier, he is the same age or younger than 7 out of the 9 quarterbacks drafted this year. So he is super young. So he is 23 years old. Yeah, we're going to have a decision to make on his 5th-year option. Or maybe we can get him to extend and be a little more cap friendly while he waits it out. Or we give him a chance to go play somewhere. Whatever happens. But he's still very young. So for people to want to cast him away, like, I feel really good about our backup position. I feel like Jordan Love, if he had to play 6 games this year, we could win 3
or 4
of those games, 3 or 4 of those games,
Sure.
and not ruin our season.
Yep, 100% agree. Simon, what do you think about Kevin's comment? He asked if Love is worth more as a trade. Do you think you'd rather have Love more as a trade bait piece or as a backup quarterback?
Right now?
Yep.
I mean, I don't think anyone's really looking to trade for him, so it'd probably be better on the team, especially if the team's seen him progress year to year, and the team thinks he can build on that. I mean, there's no reason to trade him for what they're probably going to get for him now, which I don't think is much. That's just my opinion.
Only team I could really see possibly being interested in him is maybe the Miami Dolphins. If they decide that Tua isn't the guy that's going to be able to get the ball downfield to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and they want to bring in a guy with a bigger arm, and they say, hey, we're going to see if we can get Jordan Love.
The only other team I would be very interested in is a Seattle called and dangled Lockett in front of us. But
yeah,
Seattle was who I was thinking too.
But Seattle has 2 number 1 QBs.
Yeah,
that's how he's doing. Pete Carroll's doing some Common Core math over there.
Yeah, the Jets have 2 number 1 running backs too.
Yeah.
I could see maybe the Texans and Brandon Cooks being involved. I could see that potentially being an option. But I mean, at this point, there's really, like I said, I'd put him somewhere like top 5 NFL as far as backups are concerned. And as a low cap hit as a rookie, or not a rookie, on his rookie contract, I mean, there's really worse things you could do. And like I said, there's already teams that have moved on from their 2020 first-round picks, so the Packers could be in a much worse position than they are. All right,
Still
let's go
only
to
23. That's all I'm gonna say.
So let's go to some preseason recap. I'll start with Simon. Who are some players that impressed you in the preseason games?
Jeez, where do I start? So because I have a lot of stuff written down actually for this.
He's typing this up too.
My hands are right here. So because the Packers didn't play a lot, actually any of their really starting defense, they played a lot of their starting offensive linemen. Zach Tom really impressed me. I'm pretty sure I sent some earlier that said what was it, on 90 some pass rush snaps.
75.
Was it 75? I'm sorry, 75. I misspoke. He had 0 pressures allowed. Like that's disgusting to think about. And we got him in the 4th round this year. I know a lot of the times he was playing backups and stuff, but that's the type of stuff you like to see in the preseason. You love seeing your players dominate other players to get into. He's probably going to start for us this year. I don't think there's a way that he does not get on the field for us this year. So I really liked him. I was really impressed with Inigbare, 5th round pick.
That's a good one too.
I like him as our 3rd outside linebacker in rotation with Gary and Smith. And Pat O'Donnell looked. He was booming
last night. He looked good.
That's a good one.
Booming punts, and that's the type of stuff we need on special teams. I'll let you guys, because I don't want to bring up too many players.
Name as many as you want, dude. Go ahead. Floor is yours, seriously.
Okay. Quay Walker really impressed me. He's shown improvement from game to game. Yeah, last night he looked good. I liked some of our depth at cornerback. I liked Shamar Jean-Charles. And dang, I forgot his name. Bounce off my head. The last guy that I have making the roster. Thomas, Kylie Thomas.
Spoiler.
Yeah, spoiler. Yeah, so I like him as some of our like 5-6 cornerbacks I think will make the roster. And then Goodson. I like Goodson a lot. He has good pass catching ability. He showed a little bit in the run game. So I like him.
Goodson's probably on everybody's list.
Yeah. So I'll stop because I'll sit here and talk for an hour about stuff I liked in the preseason.
We got all the time.
Jake, who's on your preseason impress list?
All right, so let me go to my sheet here. So I only wrote down a few players because I didn't want to be like Simon and take 4 hours. So I have Kingsley and Nagbar. I liked his potential. He got owned a little bit on a couple plays. I saw some replays, but he also made some slick moves. Showed pass rushing ability, which I like. Romeo Dobbs, obviously.
Dude, there was one play, I think it was in the second preseason game, where he did like a swim move around a right tackle and slid onto one knee, and then he popped up. It was versus the Saints. That's what I thought. And it's like, damn, that was an all-pro move right there from a rookie.
Yeah, that was a nasty move. My next one is Romeo Dobbs. I wanted to see if his practice hype was going to, translate to the games, which it did. I also have Zach Tom. Obviously, the 0 pressures is very impressive. I like his ability to kick outside and play right tackle. That gives us the ability to move Jenkins back to left guard, and just keep that left side of that line dominant so people have to worry about that, right? Just something to think about. I put Jack Hefflin on here. His tackle last night was awesome. Dude, he
might have played his way onto the roster again. They might.
I love Jack.
He's making it hard, isn't he? He's making it almost impossible.
So I'll talk a little bit about that later, but yeah.
So then another guy I have is Chris Slaton. Not TJ Slaton, but Chris Slaton was impressing, and he was impressing so much that he got to start last night, which doesn't say a lot because it wasn't our starting defense, but for him to come from a guy that was like unknown to like a starter in preseason is impressive to me. Matt, I am drinking nothing. Water?
It's vodka.
Vodka. vodka in a water bottle.
It's
Kroger
vodka.
Kroger vodka. God, I bet they do make Kroger vodka. I bet it tastes worse than Fleischmann's.
I bet it's in a plastic bottle too.
Probably.
This is the poor guy vodka.
Military special.
Yeah.
Pronounce Kroger. Make it a little more Russian or something.
Bryant, who were impressed you during the preseason?
So those two hit a lot of them. Romeo Dobbs really impressed me, and his drops obviously is concerning, but the fact that he was getting open so often, and like last night, the one catch he made in a tight coverage coming back to the ball, which was an amazing throw as well, a great anticipation by Love. But so he was very impressive, and I can't wait to see him play with Aaron Rodgers. Isaiah McDuffie, I thought had a really good Isaiah McDuffie and Chris Barnes. Like the inside linebacker depth is sick. Like I'm very excited for that. Micah Abernathy coming in a few days before that second game, playing a really good game, and then last night he should have got it. It should have been offensive pass interference on that play where he almost jumped it. It would have been like a 99-yard pick six. It was a sick play. And he got held, and they didn't call it, which is fine. It's preseason. What it is.
Packers got away with a face mask earlier.
Like I said, whatever. But the fact that he was around the ball a lot. Caleb Jones looked good for offensive line. Just our offensive line depth is amazing. TJ Slaton, I thought, like especially the first game, like he was wrecking people. So I'm just pretty excited about defensive line, offensive line depth. Other than what the other two have already hit on, that's pretty much it. Aside from Jordan Love, of course. Amari Rodgers, I felt like kept coming on.
He had a really good game last night.
Yeah. Like he made things interesting. Like I think he might make it possible for them to carry two running backs. So.
I think I saw something tonight. It said 13 touches for 122 yards for Amari Rodgers. That's pretty solid.
That's solid.
A little gadget player.
And a touchdown from the San Francisco game too.
See, he's got the build to play a little bit of running back. Like he doesn't have to do it a lot, but like in a situation where you feel comfortable running like a jet sweep with him, even in a tight formation. So, he's not a guy who's going to be fragile if he's mixing it up in a pile, because he's got such a strong build to him. So I'm comfortable potentially using Amari Rodgers in what has become to be described as the Tyler Ervin role.
He kind of feels like Ty Montgomery, doesn't he?
That's why
I didn't want to bring it up because he still annoys me. But
I honestly think that it made it possible for the Packers to, and we can talk about this a little bit more on the Wisco Disco. I don't want to ruin it, but carry two running backs into the 53-man roster, and
give me an idea.
Whichever one clears, whichever Goodson or Taylor or both clears waivers, we can get them back on the practice squad. If they both get claimed, we plug in Amari Rodgers and tell Kylan Hill gets in there. And I feel okay with that.
What if we run a set with Cobb and Amari Rodgers in the backfield, kind of like the running backs next to Rodgers? Imagine linebackers trying to cover wide receivers like that. That could be interesting.
Dude, okay. Let's get real crazy. Let's imagine a scenario where you start with Amari Rodgers and Randall Cobb on the outside and A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones next to Aaron Rodgers as running backs, and then you switch both, and you line up A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones at wide receiver, and you bring Amari Rodgers and Randall Cobb into the backfield. Like, as an opposing defense, just look at it and be like, what the fuck are they doing? And then it's like, shit, we still have to
I just want to watch a cornerback try to press A.J. Dillon. I won't even watch the play. I'll just watch that.
That'd be awesome.
Be like that mascot that got run the fuck over.
So let's flip it from impressed to players that we're done with. I mean, as far as impressive players go, you guys covered all the ones that I would have brought up. Jack Hefflin's been my guy since last year. I wanted him to make last year's roster over Tyler Lancaster, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So pulling for him this year. I'm sure his name's going to come up in the Wisco Disco, but for me, the only player that I wrote down that I am just completely done with is Ty Summers.
Yep. I was going to say that too.
He was 2 years ago. He was a special teams guy. He did really well on special teams, and then he could play a few snaps at middle linebacker. Now it's showing that he's really not even that effective on special teams. He's been in the league for a couple of years now, so I'm just done with Ty Summers. Bryant, I don't know if there's anybody you're completely done with.
No, that's pretty much the only player I'm like whatever. And then a couple of the defensive ends that they've been throwing around, like
Akil Byers.
Yeah, like
Jonathan
whatever.
Ford.
The one that played for us quite a bit last year, but he's thinner. Like if they move on from him, I'm gonna be like, okay, whatever. I can't even remember his name, which is terrible right now. I normally don't forget names, but yeah. Other than Ty Summers, I'm fine with everyone pretty
keeping
much.
Some guys around.
Yeah, exactly.
Jake, is there anybody else you're kind of done out on?
No, that's the great thing about the Packers, though. They do such a good job bringing in young, talented guys and just hitting the refresh button every couple of years, man, and just bringing in a bunch of young talent. And then we just have the consistency at quarterback, which is nice, right? And then people wonder why we're fucking good every year. We draft a couple of offensive linemen, we build them up for a couple of years, they become all pros, and then we get rid of them because we have their next all pro behind them, And now they're doing that with defense. They finally are starting to do that with defense. Defensive line depth is crazy, which Bryant has said. Inside linebacker depth. When's the last time you got excited about inside linebacker depth as a Packer fan?
When was the last time you felt that we had 3 capable inside linebackers?
Fucking never. Never.
The name was Keepa Nolii. Like, if we move on from him, fine. If we keep him, fine.
He's more of an outside linebacker than a defensive end, but
yeah.
Okay, my bad.
I remember when we had freaking Desmond Bishop, and I was like, oh man, Desmond Bishop's pretty good, dude. Desmond Bishop couldn't touch their jockstrap right now. By the way, I forgot to mention Quay Walker, which makes me very upset. Before, dude, he was awesome the first couple of drives. Yeah. The one end around they ran to Mecole. He took on the lineman, got rid of his big ass, and then pushed Mecole.
I think he had 5 tackles in the first quarter.
Yeah, there's another play where he was right in the hole. The running back did run over him a little bit, but he held on and tackled, and it was a gain of 3, which is acceptable on a first down run. You know what I mean?
There was
three and less.
I like how he was talking shit, man. I was like, "That's right, baby. Show that swag."
They ran a screen. I think it was they ran a screen to the strong side, I think, and you can see it's like the zoomed in version of the quarterback. And then you see Quay Walker's body just go from the hash marks all the way across out to the outside, and he gets there to make a tackle for like a 2-yard gain on a screen pass. Like that's what's been missing for the Packers is that speed.
I can't wait to see him play next to Campbell.
That's gonna be amazing. We're gonna talk about Campbell later too.
The best part about that play is Walker was the one calling the audible. He was the one barking orders to everybody. He was like, "Hey, check this, check," and then he was the one that made the play. I was like, "Oh, dude, everybody's fucked. We got 2 good middle linebackers. You're fucked." I'm getting amped up. This Mountain Dew's got like cocaine in it or something, man. I don't know what's going on.
So you lied to Courtney's dad when he asked what you were drinking? It's that Kroger vodka, and now you got Mountain Dew mixed with it?
Yeah, man. I'm getting crunk up in here, boy.
Vodka Mountain Dews. Simon, is there anybody else that you're just kind of completely done with?
I don't know that I'm done, and I have 3 guys that just concern me. So Tyler Davis concerns me. I think he's going to make the roster just based off the coach's comments, and for some reason they feel him. But if you just read any Packers content over the offseason, it was, his fumble in the preseason, his drop pass, which led to an interception in the red zone, and then just false starts, whatever in practices and stuff, holding. And it was just not a good read. So he concerns me a little bit, but I do think he makes the roster. And then Royce Newman and damn, I'm really bad with names. I'm sorry.
No, you're fired.
Yep, I know. And Jake Hansen. Jesus. Those two.
You're ahead of me now.
That's my whole goal. I'm actually out of here now. So.
You don't have to listen to your mouse and keyboard anymore during the show.
That's crazy that you say you're not saying you're done with them, but you're concerned, and that's a little scary because they both might be on our line to start.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If they have to play, and when we do, I don't know if we do whatever roster predictions, we talk about the roster a little bit more. I was gonna drop that in there, but
you can say
if they have to take a long, extended stay on the line for the season, it's gonna concern me a little bit. I think Jake Hansen's not. He's not. Like Zach Tom's gonna make the starting roster. And
that's what I was just gonna say. I said this to you guys this morning when you shared the 75 snaps and 0 pressures. I was gonna say like the Packers started rookies at guard or at the offensive line last year. Why not let Zach Tom start at right guard this year? I'm comfortable with it with as versatile as he is, and with Matt LaFleur talking about Zach Tom, that they want him to keep learning new positions because he wants to keep learning new positions, that they wouldn't be doing that if he wasn't already capable of knowing what he's already done to continue to do more. That's how I feel.
That's a good point.
Simon, I like that you brought up Royce Newman because he is awful at right tackle. He's okay at right guard, but that's why I brought up Tom's ability to play tackle because he can just kick out, and I feel good with him out there, really. And Newman's much better inside. He was getting his ass whooped at right tackle.
Yeah,
So
I think it'll be interesting to see
Newman
who
at
they
right
roll
guard
out.
Tom at
one.
Zach. Or
Yeah.
Zach Tom at
So
right
it's
tackle.
really
But
unfortunate.
apparently they've been playing him at left guard, Zach Tom.
They're not moving unless they move Runyon to right guard.
That was
Runyon's
an
the top
interesting
five.
point in one of the practices was that they moved him to left guard. I saw it was kind of interesting.
So the unfortunate thing. Go ahead, Tyler.
Did you see
I was
Isaac's
just
comment?
I was just bringing up Isaac and then Lombardi time Bruce said to hope to start at right guard over those two in week 1. Honestly, him on the right side at either one of those positions, I feel comfortable just finding out and see if he's going to be capable of doing it in a real NFL game. Minnesota's Vikings defense doesn't terribly concern me. Like, they have some good players around the roster, but overall, I'm not worried about it. When it comes to left guard, I'm not going to lie. When they said that they were giving Zach Tom some snaps at left guard, I felt like they were just trying to do that to kind of create some competition for John Runyon so that they make him feel like the job isn't guaranteed to him. But I think that left guard job is pretty much guaranteed to Runyon.
Yeah, I do too.
It's just too bad that Nyman can't play right tackle. Like they said, he's just he's stuck at left tackle because I do think he's probably in the top 6 of our 7 linemen when all of them are healthy. When Bakhtiari and Jenkins is healthy. Right now he's the top 5, but once how great would it be if he could play right tackle to push him to right tackle, David at left. You have Runyon and then Elton Jenkins and Myers, but you still want to get Tom on the field. But it's a good problem to have, really. The right side does concern me a little bit. The Vikings, I don't know that their pass rushers will hold up the whole season, but they're going to be there week 1, so we just got to be ready for them, and we have to have a good plan. Now, granted, we're going to see Mercedes Lewis is going to be on
That's exactly what I was.
We're going to have AJ Dillon that's going to be able to crack Zadarius Smith coming around the corner.
Wear his ass out.
Yeah,
that's all you got to do with him.
There's going to be a lot better protection.
Yeah. I think the Packers will do a lot of quick hit passes, especially early in the game, just to get some rhythm going. I don't think it's going to be first play of the game. Rodgers is taking a deep shot to Christian Watson.
If I'm the Packers, I did. That was one of my things I said I hope happens. But if I'm Matt LaFleur, I call a screen on Zadarius Smith's side the first play of the game because he wants to kill Aaron Rodgers. So they're all going to be coming so hard that side. Just let them all pursue and then throw it right past him.
Really, what he wants to do is make us upset.
Yeah,
he wants to go at Packers fans, bro, because he saw we were talking shit about him. You got paid all that money, you sat on your ass. I understand you had back surgery, but
he made it out like we were the bad people. We came to him, if I'm not mistaken, I thought we offered to restructure or something, and it just wasn't going to work out.
Bro, we loved him when he was here.
Yeah,
there was no hate.
Absolutely changed our defense in those
100%.
Yeah, changed the culture of the pass rush.
Yeah, he's on bullshit. I really do hope Dylan cracks him in his shit. I do.
All right, let's do some Wisco Disco. So basically, the way this was presented to us, I got to give credit to Wisco Ball. I got to give credit to Tyler again. He came up with this idea, and we turned it into the way that we're going to predict the last 3 spots on the roster. So we're going to think of this as, say, a disco or a nightclub, and you get the last 3 people that are in are going to be 50 through 53 on the roster, or 51 through 53 on the roster. And then outside the club, you got 3 guys waiting behind the rope to be the next 3 in. So we'll start with Simon. Who are your last 3 that you have making the roster?
All right. So last 3 guys I have making the roster is Goodson. What?
I'm reading.
He's reading Isaac's comment.
I thought you were laughing.
Isaac's a fool. Sorry.
I thought that was a good pick.
No, you. I always read Isaac's comments because he's a fool.
Oh yeah, he's funny, dude. Where was I? Goodson. I have Abernathy making the roster, and then I misspoke earlier. It's Keandre Thompson, not Kyrie Thompson. So that's my fault.
Is it Thomas or Thompson?
What did I
Keandre
say?
Thomas.
I think it's Keandre Thomas.
You know what's funny? I wrote down Thomas. I said Thompson.
You want to know something? I don't
I'm
think
fired.
you actually think he makes the roster. He said both of his names wrong.
I'm on a roll
Simon's
tonight.
fired.
Yeah.
The front office won't be able to get a hold of him, so they're not gonna be able to cut him. So he'll just make the roster.
He'll just show up in the locker room. He doesn't have a
They're
locker
gonna
anymore.
be looking
Hey,
at his
you know.
phone number and being like, "Dude, is that a 5 or a 2? Like, I can't."
It'd be like that sometimes. So that's my
Alright.
last
Those are
three.
your last 3. Jake, who are your last 3 to make the roster?
All right, holy shit, I'm drunk. Here we go.
Jesus.
Not really.
Poor
I
vodka
don't
is
have
taking
it
a hold.
screwed in.
Me too, man.
All right, so my last 3 in, I actually do have Tyler Davis. I think that they're going to think long and hard about it. I think he'll be one of the last 3 that they consider. He will make the roster. I have Kobe Jones. I didn't mention him for a reason, but he's been making some noise. I hear a lot about him in practice making plays. He's just been making plays. I like him. And I have a reason for this guy making it when we talk about last 3 out, but Juwan Winfrey, I think, will be one of the last ones. I think he's going to be close with one of the rookies. That's why I have him in my last 3 in.
Can't cut him. Aaron Rodgers loves him.
That's
Brian,
why I
who
put
is
him on
your
the team.
Brian? 2 are your last 3 in.
So my last 3 in is first Dallin Levitt and they're going to instantly put him on IR. So I kind of cheated here a little bit. So I put him as last 3 in, but there would be no reason they wouldn't release him already with an IR or injury settlement like last week. So I think he makes the roster and instantly reverts to goes to IR, which means we're going to probably pick someone back up. So Patrick Taylor, running back. I differ from you guys a little bit right here. And the reason I have him is because Goodson cannot pass protect. Taylor can.
That's fair.
And if you look at last night's game, Goodson had the big run, but actually Taylor was more efficient. And then Rasheed Walker, I think, showed enough last night and people think he was a steal of the draft, right? They think he should have gone in the 4th. So I just put Rasheed Walker on there because I think we might try to hold on to him, especially last night. He had a tremendous game. So we might put him in. And then, those are my 3.
That guy's reckless.
I have him on the team too.
Yeah,
bro. That video of him humping that guy.
That's all I think
Every
about.
time I hear his name, I just think about him humping a dude.
I wanted to do that to Zadarius Smith.
Like, dude, think about the embarrassment. You got cold clocked in the side of the face, and a giant dude's humping you. Come on.
There's no coming back from that, man.
That's all.
That guy retired after that
State,
game. You know that, right?
Yeah.
That guy quit football after.
He hung
that
up
game.
his pad.
No, he did not.
Nah, I'm just fucking with you.
Oh, that would have been amazing. That would have been like you really can't come back from that. That would have been amazing.
He's an insurance salesman now.
I have a couple. So because Simon already said it, one of the ones I played with was I think Micah Abernathy has made it really interesting what to do with Tariq Carpenter, and I think he probably took Tariq Carpenter's spot, and I think Micah Abernathy makes the roster.
I think one of those 2 will be the ones that, like you said, takes the place of Dallin Levitt on the roster, and then once he's healthy, that those guys will be one of the guys that ends up on the practice squad. For me, I did also put Goodson. You bring up pass protection. For me, when I'm looking at the 3rd running back, I'm looking at a guy who's only going to play in the 4th quarter with leads. And at that point, I'm not looking at a guy who's going to pass protect a bunch. I'm looking at a guy who's going to be able to get 3 or 4 yards to keep the chains moving, to keep the clock moving. So that's why I leaned more Goodson than Taylor. I did also have Juwan Winfrey on my list. He's I think made enough plays to earn a roster spot. I do think where Winfrey is concerned that he makes the roster over a Samori Toure. So we'll see what happens there. And then the last one that I put on here was Trent McDuffie. He might be a little not so close to the roster bubble, but
Isaiah McDuffie? Didn't Trent McDuffie get drafted by Kansas City?
Yeah, that was Trent.
It's the wrong McDuffie.
Yeah,
the wrong McDuffie.
Right, we're all on a roll tonight. Let's go. It wasn't just me.
Right.
We're all fired.
Dude, why is Bryant the one putting himself together right now? He looks like the most professional. What's happening right now? He hasn't messed up at all.
Oh, we'll catch him.
What are you talking about? I didn't know freaking. See, I already forgot his name. The outside linebacker.
Okay, fine.
Tipanali. Yeah, you thought he was a defensive lineman.
Whatever, same.
He's skinny defensive lineman. It's because he's an outside linebacker.
He's a skinny offensive linebacker, outside linebacker.
Offensive
He is
linebacker.
pretty
Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
See what you did, Jake? We're falling apart.
Let's go, baby. This is
Well,
high
um,
quality
profession.
television.
So McDuffie might be a little farther away from the roster bubble, but just as players that I'm looking at, I put him on my last three in. So we'll go in the reverse order for the last three out. So these are the guys basically. If somebody were to go down, that these guys would be the first three coming onto the roster to replace somebody. So I did put Tariq Carpenter on my list. If the other guy you have to remember at safety is Sean Davis. He basically took all of Darnell Savage's reps after Savage got injured in the preseason, had his hamstring. Sean Davis took all of the starting safety reps after that. And then if we're looking at Micah Abernathy, it could be either him or Carpenter. Then I'm looking at Shamar Jean Charles. I think it's possible that he makes the roster, but just way the roster is set up, I'm looking him to be one of the first three out. And then my guy Jack Hefflin. It hurts me to do it, but I think Jack Hefflin's just going to miss the roster again this year just because they have so much depth on that offensive or defensive line. See, did it again. We're all drunk.
So I guess I'm up, right? So
Go ahead,
I didn't have Juwan.
Tim. You're going to jinx it.
For me, I know you all mentioned Winfrey. For me, he's like solidly on the roster, and I think there is a chance they carry 8 wide receivers because they use Amari Rodgers. I know that's crazy, but because they use Amari Rodgers as a 3 running back. If you see Patrick Taylor and Tyler Goodson get cut, I bet you we carry 8 wide receivers, or we do carry a Jack Hefflin or something like that. So there's kind of a little bit of a that's not my bold prediction, but I could see it happening because all of them have showed something. Now I do feel very comfortable that if they cut Samori Toure, they will get him back on the practice squad. He's looked good, but I don't think anyone's going to claim him and put him right on their 53.
Right.
So maybe the Bears because they don't have.
I was
going to
say the Bears might.
And they love taking our players, right? So it's possible, but and
Imagine
so my first
being
3
in a
out.
scenario where Equanimeous St. Brown is your second best wide receiver.
He got cut by us last year.
Yeah. So my first 3 out are Tyler Goodson. He showed a lot. I hear you on the 4th running back, but what happens if, say AJ Dillon gets banged up? I think Patrick Taylor can fill in for that, and he also showed that he could help with pass pro. I still think they should have played him in the playoff game more last year instead of just solely relying on Aaron Jones. And I think that, and he's also showed that he can catch the ball fairly well too. 3 catches last night. He added 1 after I finished my article. My bad. He had 3 catches for 17 yards. So I have Tyler Goodson out. I have Kobe Jones out. First 3 out. I think we're gonna try to get him on the practice squad. And then because I kept Rasheed Walker in, I had Caleb Jones out. So
Isaac asked what they feed Caleb Jones, and I think they just feed him smaller offensive linemen.
yeah, pretty much.
No, those skinny defensive ends. That's what they feed him.
Yeah.
He ate
Jake,
keeping all the eye in one practice.
yeah. Jake, who are your first 3 out of the roster?
All right. Well, I am opposite Bryant. I have Patrick Taylor. We've already cut him once, so cutting him again wouldn't be a big shock. Second, I have Samori Toure. The reason I brought him up, I would keep him over Winfrey personally. I think he has more flash. I know Winfrey's been a little bit more consistent, but Toure is
He's a better blocker too.
he just feels like big play to me when I watch him. Like he feels like big play. He's
Did you see that
exciting.
block by Winfrey on that one screen last night, though.
Yeah, that was good.
Like,
block,
That
I
was
know.
textbook. Especially for a smaller dude.
Yeah. He has to do all the right things though, because he's been trying to make it, the last couple of years. And then my last one is Kavion Ento. He's my last one.
Oh, that's a good one. I didn't even think of him.
I didn't want to talk about that one too much because that was Tyler's boy last year, and I don't want to upset him. But we have a lot of depth, man, at DV.
That's what it is. It's like the super deep defensive ends and the super deep cornerbacks. It's a position of luxury, but it's 2 guys that just play with tons of effort, and that's what I appreciate about them, especially Hefflin. Like you can just see the dude has got his motor at 110 every single play.
I would be really surprised. Going back to Tyler real quick, I would be really surprised if Smart Jean Charles. That would be one of the surprises to me.
Yeah, that would be
if he didn't
didn't
make the roster. And unfortunately, I just don't think we can Jake Kumaro, Juwan Winfrey, and I think Toure is the unless they carry 8, he's kind of the odd man out.
Yeah.
But I do think there's 100% chance, unless he gets claimed, he's on the practice squad.
I like Toure for some reason.
I do
Something
too.
about him.
Shamar Jean Charles, the only thing I think with him that kind of makes me a little hesitant is that he's really small.
Yeah, but he plays with an edge, and when you're a little guy like that, you kind of have to, but he plays with an edge. Look at freaking Jair. Jair's not big at all. He's only 5'10", not even 200 pounds. He's a little guy, but he's considered the best or the second best corner in the league. Plays with an edge. He's kind of got that little cockiness.
Not in
little
the top
arrogance
100 though.
Yeah,
what the
that list was trash. How does David Montgomery make the top 100, but not
Yikes.
Aaron Jones?
For real, dude. What the
Or AJ Dillon, who both had better years than probably David Montgomery last year.
Isaac asked, what do you guys think about Ladarius Hamilton?
I don't have him on the roster.
I don't
think he
see why
makes
they
it, but
would need to.
He's
I
like
actually-
Keepa.
Yeah, I felt comfortable leaving him off my roster.
And I think I'd prefer Enigbari based on what he's shown.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Simon, who are your last 3 or your first 3 out? I should say.
I mean, we already talked about these 3. I also have Hefflin out. It was such a just because of roster construction. I have him not making the team. It's unfortunate because I really like him, but it's just there was no room for him. But I feel comfortable that he would also stay on our practice squad. Some Mari Toure, if it were up to me, same with Jake, right? I feel better about him getting better on our team and leaving Juwan Winfrey because I don't think anyone would claim him. But I feel like there's a slight chance that he gets claimed if Toure goes on the practice squad. But Aaron Rodgers already talked up Juwan Winfrey all off season, so I think he's kind of a lock to make the roster.
And I think
at
if
this
you're
point.
if you're worried about the Bears potentially claiming a guy, I think they'd be more apt to pick up a guy in Juwan Winfrey who has at least a little bit more experience than a 7th round rookie.
And he plays
Knowledge
that
of the
offense
playbook.
already. Yeah.
That's true too. So we'll see. And then lastly, someone mentioned it, Caleb Jones. I feel like I have roster. The way I construct the roster, we have 10 offensive linemen making it in. I also have Rasheed Walker. I think he did enough last night, and I think he has a higher ceiling than Caleb Jones because Caleb Jones is so big. How much can he really improve on something other than him just being a gigantic mammoth?
Bro, how fun would it be to have him as fullback with Dylan in the backfield?
They just pull a Rico Gafford and flip him to defense and put him at nose tackle.
Hey, run the Wildcat with a wishbone with what's his name, Ford and Caleb Jones, the 2, and then just have him just plow the line with AJ Dillon as the quarterback.
Oh my gosh.
He wouldn't.
Would
AJ
end up-
Dillon wouldn't
that-
have anywhere to
there's
go. There'd be
100%
nowhere to step. It
There'd
would
be
just be
100%
just
chance someone
bodies,
would be
just
hurt
like
on
a
that
blob
play.
just laying in front of him. He had nowhere to step.
That's a lot of beef. That's all I know.
All right, this will be interesting because now I think we're going to get into some really interesting stuff. We're going to talk about the NFC North record predictions. So this is not only the Packers, but we're going to predict the whole division. I just flipped a coin in my head, and we're going to make Jake go first. So
How do you flip a coin between 4 people?
How do you flip
Because I did
a
it-
4-sided coin?
I just told you I did it in my head
Why don't you just say a dice?
because that's got 6 sides.
You can have a 4-sided die.
It would have to be a prism.
Yeah, it's a prism.
No,
You know what? It's a fucking coin and I'm going first. Shut your damn mouth. Here we go. So, do you want me to start from last place or first place? Because you guys know first place.
Do last place because this will be
Okay.
fun. I know who last place is going to be. I think for all 4 of us.
Yeah.
Nope. I have the Lions in last place at 5-12.
Really?
Really?
I think they're going to have the same record as the Chicago Bears. They're both going to be 5-12. I just think that the Bears will beat the Lions in their head-to-head because they always beat the Lions because the Lions do what the Lions do. They're both going to be 5-12. I have the Vikings at 9-8, and then I have the Green Bay Packers winning the division at 12-5.
All right, that's fair. Brian, what do you got for the NFC North?
So I'm giving the Lions a lot more respect than Jake, but I have the Bears at 5-12, so we are the same there. And then I have the Lions. I went between 8-9, 9-8, because the Bears are so awful. I put the Lions at 9-8 because I think the Bears might not win a division game this year. I have the Vikings at 11-6. I think they are a very good team. I think they will be a wild card. I have the Packers at 12-5. And the one thing I noted about the Packers, I think the one thing I noted about the Packers is that they start 5-4 and they finish 7-1. I think there's a decent chance we might start 1-2, and people are gonna freak out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna have a strong finish. So that's my prediction there. Simon's laughing because he must have the exact same.
Everything you just said, I was gonna say like to a T. So I have the same exact records, except I have the Lions at 9-8. And then
That's what I had them.
I think the Bears are going to get swept by the division this year.
Yeah. So I had the Lions at 9-8.
I'm very bullish on the Lions. I feel like they could win a couple surprise games.
They have a weak schedule too.
All right. Now we're talking about
it.
They're the Lions. They always find a way to lose.
I know, but I feel like the roster.
They had a 14-point lead in the first half against the Packers last year.
What's that?
And the year prior.
14-point lead. Yeah.
Pretty sure.
They led for 0 seconds against us twice and lost. They're the Lions.
I know what you're saying, but their roster's in a better place this year. I feel like they're barring major injuries. Obviously, all our predictions were made this way. Okay. They had a disgusting amount of injuries last year. Like, I think they were the second most beat up team in the league, minus the Titans or something along those lines. I forget what the exact thing was. So I'm very bullish on what they could do this year to improve. And I think they kicked the shit out of the Bears too.
Yeah.
I feel like 5 wins for the Bears is also being generous.
I thought so too.
Yeah, you too, right? Yeah.
So I wanted to put them at 4, but I was like, they might sneak one out.
Yeah, I had them sneaking a couple of wins, especially playing the NFC East. I also have the Vikings 11-6 as well, and then I have the Packers 12-5. And I was thinking the same thing as Brian when I was doing our schedule earlier. I think that we have a really tough schedule, especially in the starting of the season, also with traveling and stuff too. I think we're the most traveled team in the NFL this year. Yeah. And then we get the shortest amount of rest in between. So there's going to be some tough games, and I feel like the first half of the season, like Brian said, it's going to be a little rough when you look at this schedule on our first 9 games or so.
And waiting for some offensive linemen to get healthy too.
Hey, I would love a 7-1 finish heading into the playoffs.
I would too. So that's thanks, Brian, for
no problem. Blame Tyler.
No, I swear we did not coordinate this at all. It's the craziest part.
Dude, I'm not over this Lions stuff. You guys
I think we're a year away from being the NFC West 2 years ago. I think next year there's a chance that 3 NFC North teams, if they took any other, like a quarterback that was even top 20 and put it on that roster, I think they'd be fighting for a playoff spot this year. I think that's where the Lions are heading. I think they're just shy. If they can pick up a quarterback,
to cut their teeth in the league a little bit. Jameson Williams' health is going to factor into it.
I think they're a year away.
I think they're a year away from being a year away. So I think 2 years from now, I think we could really talk about the Lions being a playoff contender.
So I don't love the Lions front 7, but I feel like they have a couple corners that could be pretty good. Like
I said that last year, their secondary was decent.
Mm-hmm. Well, if Okudah comes back and he plays some good ball, and what's his name, Aurier? I forget his name.
Aurier.
Yeah, Aurier. He played some decent ball last year. If you go look at his stats and stuff, he played pretty good.
A safety. I think his name is like Tracy Walker or something
like that. Tracy Walker, that was he
had some good plays against the Packers in Week 17 last year.
So I feel like they actually have some good pieces on offense.
And their offensive
line is just so good.
Their offense all around is going to go as far as Jared Goff can take them.
True.
That's my thing with them.
Point. They don't have the coach or the quarterback. They are a 5-win team, and I'm smashing it in both of your faces when they only win 5 games. I'm telling you right now.
So I have the Bears.
I'll bet you they win over 5. I want to do a bet.
We'll see.
You want to do a pie bet with me? I've been waiting to do a pie bet.
Yeah, I'll do a pie bet.
Let's do it.
They'll win more than 5 games?
5 games.
5 games, deal.
If they win 5 and under, I win. If they win,
I'll do the same, and I want like a double pie on your face when they win.
I'll do
over
2
5.
fucking pies. But if you lose, you're doing 2 pies then.
No, if they lose, then they would each do 1.
No, he joined late. He does 2.
No, I'll give you a pie, Jake.
You do 1
before Week 2 game. I'm excited for us all to be together in person. By the way, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Gonna be sick.
Anyways, back to the show.
I'm gonna set out that pie bet because I have the Lions at 6 wins. So I'm gonna set that one out because I'm kind of right in the middle there. I'm actually right in the middle pretty much with all of this.
No, I
So-
don't need about nice. Yeah, maybe send them to Simon.
Speaking
and
of vanilla,
Yeah, right. That's me. I'm not gonna say what I was just thinking, but anyways, I'm gonna go back. I have the Bears finishing last in the division at 4-13. I don't believe in their offense or their defense, and essentially they're looking at trading their best defensive player. Nothing about their defense concerns me at all, and their offense is Justin Fields, Darnell Mooney, David Montgomery, and Cole Kmet, and a bad offensive line.
yep.
I think
I'm
Justin
so
Fields-
ready for their fans to go back into hibernation. Like they're
Yeah,
like Dallas fans, man. They just
man.
this is our year every
August.
year.
Yeah, every year August. Dallas is Dallas Cowboys. This is our year time. I think Justin Fields is going to lead the NFL in turnovers this season. I'm standing by that. I think Justin Fields will have the most
And time
turnovers.
sack.
Probably, very
Probably.
probably. He is a capable runner. I'll give him that. So he might get in, escape for some 1 and 2 yard gains, and
He is, but I
he'll
also feel like
escape the pocket and stick the ball out as he runs out of bounds. But
I feel like he forgets that he's in the NFL. Sometimes they can't just run away from college players anymore.
yeah, the game slowed down.
He's gonna
for him.
have
It's
happy
kinda
feet
slow.
95% of the game because
He
his,
gets-
like,
he
his
gets-
offensive
He
line
gets
is
fucking
trash.
rocked.
Yeah,
So
looking
the
like
Bears,
the Chicago mayor after that hit.
I got the Bears at 4-13. I have the Lions at 6-11. I do think they'll be better, but I don't think they're ready to get into approaching 500 yet. I think that's where they could be next season. They'll be in that 8-9, 9-8 area, and then the year after, I think, is the 2024 season is where they could really start to contend for the playoffs. I have the Vikings right in between everybody else. I have the Vikings at 10-7, and then I also have the Packers at 12-5. So there we go. All four of us have the Packers at 12-5. We saw the last 2 seasons the Packers get off to slow starts in their first games of the season and then be fine. So it's not any sort of reason to freak out if the Packers kind of stumble out of the gate. Like I said, too, they're waiting for both of their best offensive linemen to get healthy. Robert Tonyan not being healthy yet, and then they're rolling in their first game without Devontae Adams. So I think it's very possible that the Packers might lean on the defense a little bit more in that game and try to play a Cleveland Browns style of defense and run the ball against Minnesota in week 1.
We don't want to jinx it, Isaac. Isaac said, I'm surprised no 13 wins from anybody. We don't want to jinx it. We want the streak to stay alive.
So I want to jump back real quick because I forgot to say something about preseason recap real quick.
Oh, God.
The
Okay.
special teams has me very worried. And the thing because you talking about the defense made me cue on this is we're going to have a great defense, but if our special teams is making them start at the 35 or 40-yard line several times a game, that means they can't give up 25 yards or they're giving up points. So hopefully there's a trickle-down effect of the people that were starting on special teams are possibly getting cut, and those people that were starting on defense are going to special teams. That's where I'm holding out my hope, but I just want to talk about that because we could not get through the show without talking about that preseason.
I want to throw this to you about if the offense can sustain drives and keep the defense fresh, that's where I feel makes a big difference. So if the offense struggles and they're doing a lot of 3 and outs, that's when I'll really get concerned for the defense. Honestly, the special teams, as bad as it is, it still really can't get any worse than it was last season.
Yeah. You can't give up 20-yard average on punt returns. I'm sorry. That's just oh. All right, moving forward. Hopefully, it gets better because people are going to start coming on.
I think it was
people are going to start starting on
Ennis
special
Gaines
teams.
was this close to making a tackle on Sky Moore at like the 10-yard line. It was so close. And maybe the guys that were starting on special teams last night weren't expecting punt god Pat O'Donnell to be punting 70 yards, 69 yards, and 68 yards in his punts. Yeah. That caught me off guard. I'm not going to lie.
Goodson won't be the one in the back, just fumbling it in the end zone and then taking it out still. Like that's going to be Amari Rodgers or Randall Cobb or maybe Christian Watson back there. So someone maybe with a little more experience. Our Romeo Dobbs.
Yeah, Dobbs has that
was an
experience.
outstanding college kick return.
Especially on punts, Romeo Dobbs. Okay, so this is going to be fun. So this is going to be interesting. We have stat projections. Now, all 4 of us made projections like we said at the beginning of the show. I took all of them, put them all together, and we have consensus numbers. So I'm going to put out the consensus numbers, and then two of us are going to talk. So one of us who was the most optimistic on the player, and then one who had a little bit more of a conservative outlook. So we're going to start. We have Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, Allen Lazard, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs on offense. On defense, we have Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes, Rasul Douglas, Devondre Campbell, Rashawn Gary, and Kenny Clark. So we're going to start with Aaron Rodgers. Our consensus for Aaron Rodgers for his projections are 354 completions on 510 attempts. That's 69.4% completion percentage.
Hey.
Good job, everybody. I'm so
not
happy right now.
not planned, but that worked out
Nice.
so
That
well.
was fucking awesome. Let's go.
For 4,153 yards, 36 touchdowns, and 5.5 interceptions. So I was the most optimistic on Aaron Rodgers. I did do him for my progress in the progress regress when we did that a couple weeks ago. For me, I believe he spreads the ball around, has a season like 2012, and moves more on par with the numbers that he's had under LaFleur. Simon had the least completions and attempts, as well as the least amount of yards and touchdowns projected. So, Simon, you have the floor.
I feel like this was probably the hardest for me to even try to guess, because part of me thinks that Aaron Rodgers is probably going to throw the same, but I feel like there's going to be a little bit of regression on how much he throws and how much we run the ball. And that's pretty much it. So that's kind of where my stats came from. Yep. I think he'll still, his YPA will be about the same ish between the two seasons. So, and then I did I have the lowest touchdowns? Do you say that? Yeah, lowest touchdowns too. Same thing. I feel like Dylan's going to get a few more touchdowns on the ground.
You projected 32 touchdowns for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Is Mike McCarthy the coach again? What's wrong?
I thought I was low at 34 or whatever it was.
I had him at 40. Yeah, you had 34, Simon or Bryant.
I have met his average with LaFleur at 37, and that is exactly where he's going to sit.
Yeah, I think with the lower amount of passes and the more on the ground that I think we're going to see, I feel like, and maybe with some jet sweeps and stuff, I feel like it's just going to be slightly lower than what we've seen in the past couple of years.
Okay, let me throw something at you real quick. So the defense is better, right? What if the defense gets a bunch of interceptions or a sack fumbles and gives them short fields? That's just more passing opportunities where we could take a shot and he could still keep his average where it is.
That would lower his yards, though.
Yeah. I don't care about yards. I care about touchdowns.
Touchdowns over yards all day.
I don't give a shit about yards.
Give me Devontae Adams over Julio Jones when it comes
100%
to production.
Every day, 7 days a week.
Yep. What's up, Chris? Is that related, Brian?
That's my brother.
Related to you?
That's my brother. It's funny because he said since he's a Vikings fan, he's not going to tune in, but he tuned in just late enough to miss us doing the Vikings record predictions.
I mean, we all predicted the Vikings to finish second in the division, so I mean that's something at least. Let's go to Aaron Jones. So this one was really interesting to see everybody's predictions. Came up to 178 carries for 868 yards. That's 4.9 yards per carry. I think that's actually pretty accurate. 7.5 touchdowns, and then 68 receptions on 83 targets for 563 yards. That's 8.3 yards per reception and 5.5 receiving touchdowns. For me being the most optimistic on Aaron Jones again, I really, really think he can be in that 80 reception range, like Brian brought up a few weeks ago, like an Alvin Kamara type season. I think it's going to be pretty close to a 50-50 split on carries with A.J. Dillon. And then as far as starting off the season, outside of maybe Allen Lazard, I think Aaron Jones is going to be Aaron Rodgers' most trusted receiving target. Brian, do you have him projected for the least amount of attempts, yards, and touchdowns as far as rushing goes?
Jesus,
you have some thoughts on that?
No. So to be clear, I still have him completing or finishing with 1,350 like total all-purpose yards. So it's actually a better season. But my thing is, I think we're going to see a lot of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon in the backfield together. So I think when those become carries, that's going to be A.J. Dillon's ball. And when those are passes, a lot of times it's going to be Aaron Jones' ball. Dillon already had more carries than Jones last year. I have Dillon getting 40 more carries than Jones this year. I think that's pretty reasonable. So I still have him averaging like 5 yards a carry, 160 attempts for 800 yards and 6 touchdowns. And then the catches, I have him going for 550 yards, which would be, I think, his season or his career high. So I do have him having a very good year. I just think that A.J. Dillon is going to carry the ball more than Aaron Jones, and we're going to see a little bit of more of an uptick of that this year. And that's solely because we're going to ask Aaron Jones to do more in the receiving game. Not because I think he's going to take a step back or anything. I think he's just going to be more involved in the receiving game. So if he picks up all those catches and hits, they're probably going to want to dial back on carries a little bit.
I put Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon at 200 carries apiece. Like I said, I believe it's going to be 50-50, so I did 50-50. So for A.J. Dillon, our consensus on him, 208 carries for 938 yards. That's 4.5 yards per carry. When we got to the yards per carry, I felt like that was really accurate, where we have Aaron Jones at 4.9 and A.J. Dillon at 4.5. I think that's really, really fair and possible. 9 touchdowns for A.J. Dillon on the ground, and then 43 receptions on 52 targets, 421 yards. That's a 9.8 yards per reception average, and 3 more touchdowns on the air. So going for me, I was the most conservative on A.J. Dillon just because I think it's really going to be a really even split, because Aaron Jones, in my opinion, is the third best dual threat running back in the NFL when it comes to Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, and then Aaron Jones. I really think that's where Aaron Jones is going to be this year. It's just going to depend if he's going to play all 17 games or not.
Dude, A.J. Dillon's catch rate is disgusting. I was like,
gross.
I had to project
That
about
impressed me last
75%, and I was like, this is
That's
like
low.
one of the low ones for what he normally
I
does.
think he was what, like 35 for 42 last year or something like that.
Something like
And then,
that.
Yeah.
And then I do think they're going to use A.J. Dillon as a guy to wear down the defense. So he's going to have a lot of short runs. I think that's where that shorter yards per carry. And then I just don't think A.J. Dillon is going to score a lot of receiving touchdowns. I only projected him at 2, just because I think when it comes to the red zone, if they're passing to a running back, it's going to be Aaron Jones. All right, so I'm going to kick this one to Jake. Jake was the most optimistic on A.J. Dillon. He had the most attempts, yards, touchdowns, and targets for A.J. Dillon.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of A.J. Dillon this year. This is the year where he's going to blossom into a star in the eyes of NFL fans, in my opinion. Last Friday, Tyler and I talked a lot about 22, 21 personnel. That's 2 running backs on the field. The reason that they scaled back on the 21 personnel this year is because I don't think they trusted and they knew what they had in A.J. Dillon, whereas the year before, we still had Jamal Williams. They knew he could run and he can catch. He could do all that kind of stuff. Now coming into this season, we know what we got with A.J. Dillon. Plus being a defensive team that we're going to try to do a lot of ball control. That might be where Simon's head is at with Aaron Rodgers, which I understand. I just think we're going to see a lot of the mayor of Door County and a lot of touchdowns. A lot of Lambeau leaps for those Thunder thighs, baby. I have 10 rushing touchdowns. Good night, buddy.
I thought I was high on A.J. Dillon.
I have 1,000 yards, 10 rushing touchdowns, 400 receiving yards, and 3 receiving touchdowns. Dude, he's about, I'm telling you right now, 13 total touchdowns. The man's going to become a star, household name in the NFL.
Simon had the
pretty
most
close.
receiving touchdowns with 4.
Yeah, I had
So
4.
you both had 13 touchdowns projected for him.
Mhm.
Jake just had 10 and 3. Simon had 9 and 4. So let's go to the receivers. So we picked Allen Lazard because he's the incumbent number 1. He's the guy that's most likely to step into that role. And then we picked the 2 rookies to cover. If this is something that that people that are watching are enjoying this stat projection thing, we can do more of these. We could do more for next year. We could do some, and we could cover them in the Vikings preview episode 2 weeks from now. So let us know if you enjoy our stat projections and the thought processes behind them. We can do more. So going to Allen Lazard, the consensus we had, this was again completely
Can I answer
chance.
Chris's question quick?
Go
Before
ahead.
we move on from Dillon. Chris, I think it would be more likely we'd move on from Aaron Jones.
Yep, because he
I
got the
think
money
Dillon would
already.
be the one that would stay.
Because he got the money already, exactly. Yep.
And his contract is very set up that where we can move on from him after this year.
Okay, that's what I was about to look up. I remember reading something about it.
Yes,
Yeah.
Chris. I think Aaron Jones. This could potentially be Aaron Jones' last year with the Packers. I don't want to see him
Well-
go, and I think he loves Green Bay so much that he might find a way to stay. But
I think
we'll
he'd take a restructure. If
I think he would too. Yeah, I was going to say it depends on the people on their last year of their contracts. Like Gary's going to want a lot of money. Obviously Jenkins. I mean, we have Amos, however the hell you say his name. We have Savage. I mean, we have a lot of people.
I think Savage is going to be the odd one out.
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
I love that.
It's going to be tough to. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
You want to talk about a player that's really built for like Green Bay, like just from his upbringing and what he's been through and everything. Aaron Jones is that guy. So I do think that he would love to stay in Green Bay. Money talks, but I think we paid him enough this year to like if we had to restructure him and he understood, I think he would want to stay.
You could convert the signing bonus too and do it as well. So.
You know what they said? You can manipulate the cap.
Well, I mean, Russ Ball got extended, the cap space wizard, so.
Give him all the money because he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Sorry to jump us off the rails there. But.
No, you're
That's
good,
all right. So we have another completely chance consensus of 69 receptions for Alan Lazard.
Let's go, baby.
On 105 targets for 872 yards and 8 touchdowns. That's 12.6 yards per reception. So I'm gonna let Jake go on Alan Lazard. Has the least amount of targets, receptions, yards, and touchdowns projected for Alan Lazard.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be by committee. Tyler and I have talked about this a bunch of times where we think that whoever the freaking hot hand is that week is who's going to be the hot hand. I mean, we saw it last year with Cobb. Even when we had Devontae, Cobb took over a couple of games. Obviously, Cobb was out Devontae was out one of those games, but Cobb showed the ability to make plays. Sammy Watkins could be a guy that could take his targets. We all know Aaron Jones is going to get his targets. He was getting his targets already. I think we're going to run the ball a little bit more with A.J. Dillon. You add, I mean, there's Tanya and there's Lewis. I mean, there's just so many guys that you can add in there. I think Alan Lazard could have a couple games. I just don't see him going from a guy that, averages 500-600 yards to all of a sudden being a 1,000-yard receiver. I just don't see it.
So I'm gonna let Simon talk more about him. I had the most targets, receptions predicted for Lazard, but Simon has the most yards and is tied with me for the most touchdowns projected for him. None of us had him projected for over 1,000 yards. So Jake had him projected for 720. I had 920. Bryant had 950, and Simon had 897. So that's for yards. Simon, do you want to talk about your more optimistic outlook on Alan Lazard?
Yeah, I mean, I like if you go look at the a couple games, man, it was like 2 years ago. There was he was catching some deep balls. So I feel like his yards per catch is going to be up there. I feel like I was almost conservative with it a little bit. I know he had a few games where he was tackled at like the 4-yard line that year, like 3 times. Like it was like 3 times during the whole year. So I feel optimistic about his yards per catch a little bit. But if he, and I think I posed this question to you guys while I was thinking about it the other day, if he got a 1,000-yard season, I'd be a little surprised, but I wouldn't be that surprised.
You asked us on a scale of 1 to 10. I said 4.
Yeah. And I think I'd be around a 4 or 5 too. Like I would be a little bit surprised because I don't think it's going to happen like Jake just talked about. Mm-hmm. But I feel like he has he's going to be the guy. So he's going to get targets. And B, I mean, Aaron Rodgers is still throwing the fucking football, right? So he has the opportunity to hit it. So I feel optimistic about his season.
I think the 872 yards is a little bit low. I do think he's going to be right around or a little bit above that 900-yard mark, and that's what makes me really think about the 2012 season that Aaron Rodgers had, and that's what I keep coming back to because that was the last time that Aaron Rodgers didn't have a blocked and loaded wide receiver 1. Okay, so I think Tanyan will be an X factor when he comes back. That'll be interesting to see. It's going to be the first couple of games of the year where I don't think the tight end position is going to be really involved at all. And then once Tanyan comes back, I think there'll be some involvement. And who knows what happens with the rookies and Sammy Watkins to that point.
I think Tunyon becomes a really good like safety blanket on third down. To be honest, that's what I'm looking for.
Middle of the field guy.
Because he has amazing hands. So it's just another person that Aaron like knows. Like if I throw this to him in the right spot in tight coverage, he's probably going to make the catch, and we're going to keep the chains moving. So I really hope he's back week 1. I think he will. It has a decent chance of being there. So we'll see.
All right. So the next two we have are both rookies. So we took the Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs. Christian Watson, we have consensus 32 receptions, 51 targets, 496 yards, and 4 touchdowns. That's 15.5 yards per reception. I believe that really reflects that we all believe that he's going to be into that MVS role. I'm going to let Jake talk about Christian Watson. Jake had him very low on some of his projections.
All right. So the reasoning for that, he hasn't played in preseason. He literally just started practicing. And we all know the history with Aaron Rodgers, right? He's a guy you have to earn his trust. I mean, Romeo Dobbs had an amazing, practices and then preseason, training camp. Sorry, he's been awesome. We've been talking about him all the time. All the verified Packer Twitter accounts are talking about him all the time. And I still don't have. I feel like I'm low on Romeo Dobbs. So to think about Watson jumping Dobbs, just jumping the other rookie on the roster, to me, I just don't see it. I do see him as a deep threat because he's the fastest guy on the roster on offense, I believe.
He's big.
And he's kind of like a unicorn, and Rodgers kind of talked about that. He's 6'5", and he can run and he can move. And so could he absolutely explode at the midway point of the season? Yes, but I don't see him playing a lot of snaps until that point. So for that reason, only getting really a half season in, I don't see his numbers going crazy.
So, Brian, do you have Watson projected for the most yards and touchdowns? You want to kind of elaborate on your thoughts there?
Yeah, I do. I think Jake's probably off the mark on this one. We'll see, buddy. We can make another high bet. I looked at MVS's first year with Rodgers, and MVS is probably the only rookie wide receiver that went over like 500 yards with Aaron Rodgers as a rookie. People forget MVS had a pretty good rookie year because he dropped a lot of balls.
No, some people don't. Some people say he's a great wide receiver for the Packers.
Why you got to go there?
Did you see that tweet earlier where it said that Peter from Good Morning Football, I forget his last name, said that I guess MVS was running the wrong routes last year or something?
Oh, no.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers lost faith in him because he was running the wrong routes.
So, anyways, I think Christian Watson is going to step in immediately as our deep threat. I've already said I think one of my bold predictions for Week 1 is he's going to have a 50-yard plus touchdown against the Vikings. That's for you, Chris. But I do think that Aaron Rodgers is going to throw the ball down the field. And I think Christian Watson, I mean, he's 6'4" or 6'5", runs a 4.36. He's going to find a way he's going to get open. If the pass protection holds up, he's going to hit a couple deep shots during the season. That's going to add chunk yardage. So that's why you see the receptions kind of low, but he's going to average like 15 yards of reception. So, and Jake will love my one of my bold predictions.
I'm looking forward to it. I think that role that we all, like I said, agree on that he's going to step into that MVS, that deep shot role that Rodgers is just going to throw it, whether he completes it or not is almost irrelevant. He just wants you to know that he's thinking about it.
He was immediately working with the first team again when he came back, and he apparently was making really nice catches. So I think he's gonna step in.
The dude, he's got some hops too. Like I saw a picture of him too, where he's like full extension, and he's like 3 feet off the ground, like twisted in a circle. So we'll see what happens with Christian Watson how many snaps he plays Week 1 if he's ready. Going over to the other rookie, Romeo Dobbs, there's so much camp hype that came from him. He rocketed up as far as what the potential role for a 4th-round wide receiver could be. So for the consensus that we have him just 2 receptions behind Christian Watson at 30 receptions, also on 51 targets, for 392 yards, so about 100 yards less, 3 touchdowns, which is a 13 yards per reception. I'm going to let Simon talk on him a little bit. Simon has the most conservative outlook on Dobbs, has him at the least receptions, the least targets, but the most yards and then the least touchdowns. So I'm going to let Simon talk first, and then I'm going to let Jake talk.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I was pretty conservative, but
except for on the yards, you were giving him all the yards.
I
feel like deep.
Yeah, I was gonna say he had some good shots down the field from Jordan Love in the preseason. I think they could play off of that. Even Watson, I had his yards per catch almost at 22. 20 also, excuse me.
Yeah, not 2.
Not 22. That's disgusting. It was like 19 something. So yeah, I feel pretty confident. Both these guys are gonna get probably pretty close yards to 500 or so. I think it'll be difficult to get them involved in the offense early, but I feel like later on down the season they could both put up some decent numbers down the stretch.
As far as these two are concerned, I'm looking at week 6 or 7 for them to start really making an impact. That's when I think they're going to have the experience and the expectations and know what Rodgers is expecting, being used to NFL travel, NFL defenses, Packers system as far as the regular season is concerned. I'm looking for week 6 or 7 for those two to start making.
I think a lot hinges on Cobb and Watkins' ability to stay healthy.
Yeah, that was the other thing I had considered as well.
That'll be interesting to see if one of those two has like a hamstring, say week 4, and they miss a game or two, who steps up then into the third wide receiver.
And if they can take a hold of that job.
But Winfrey, who we talked about a lot already, Winfrey could step in.
Well, it'll be a revolving door for the first game that one of those guys misses.
Yeah.
I'll just give him the hot hand.
Right. So, Jake, let me let you talk about Romeo Dobbs. You have the most receptions, targets, and touchdowns projected for him.
He's just a guy that gets open, and Rodgers likes that. Rodgers can read the defense, and we talked about this, actually. He's a guy, Tyler's talking about third down, and when we did our draft prep, he was a guy that was big on third down back then. But Rodgers is just a guy, like we said, he picks on the weak corner. So if Rodgers likes to match up with Dobbs against that corner, he's going to throw him the damn ball. And Dobbs, Dobbs. I like Dobbs because it sounds cooler.
Sounds like W's.
Yeah, Dobbs. He has a knack for getting open, which we've also mentioned. It was against second tier, corners, which he's going to be going against because the number one corner is either going on Sammy Watkins or Alan Lazard. I mean, you're going to pick your poison that way. So Dobbs is going to get the secondary corner. I think he's a guy that can not only get open deep, but he can get open in the middle of the field, the mid-level area. And we all know Rodgers is a marksman in the middle of the field too. So my opinion, I think I was still low on his projections, but I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt because he was a rookie and he'd not go crazy, but he has that boomer bust. Which time?
So Chris and Simon are the people that have experienced watching a football game with me, so we'll just keep it at that.
All right. So let's go. We're going to switch to the defense now. We're not going to go quite as optimistic, conservative on this one, just because we were all pretty impressively close together on a lot of these. There's a couple things that kind of just lie outside a little bit of what the consensus is, but we're going to start with Jair Alexander. The consensus we have is 13 passes defense, 2 interceptions, and 56 tackles. He did say you can say Dubs or Dobbs. He said he doesn't care. So let's start with Jair Alexander. Pretty much all consensus together on this one. Jake and I both had him for 12 passes defense. Simon and Brian both had him for 14. All 4 of us have 2 interceptions for him. And then tackles, Jake 52, Brian 55, me 60, Simon 55. So we're all pretty much.
I just think it's funny that Brian and I are on like the same wavelength.
Dude, they're doing their notes next to each other. They're lying to us. They live next door.
I swear
like 22 Jump Street and Fire Dicks
one
together.
Hand for the Dutch rudder, one hand for the notes.
Oh God!
Can we say that on here? Is that family friendly?
This is a family program.
Fansided said we don't have to censor our content, so we're not going to do that.
All
right, you be you, buddy. You be you.
I almost dropped one earlier, but I was like, I don't know if we're
Bro,
going to
me
say
too. That's
this
why I was
earlier.
laughing to myself.
Yeah,
Simon
Simon said something about balls deep, and I was going to tell him that's a normal Saturday night for him. But
oh God!
Oh shit! That was my real laugh. I don't want a real laugh.
Out of control.
Okay, back to the program.
Oh God! You're talking about football, guys.
I can't. My girlfriend's coming with me to Green Bay. She's
She's probably going to instantly regret that decision if she meets us.
100%. 100%.
I've thought about seeing if we can try to find a venue that would let us do a live show that Friday night, but we'll see.
Should talk to Tyler about that guy he wanted us to do it with.
We won't be there till Saturday.
Yeah, it won't be till Saturday.
Unacceptable. You have to come a day early.
Or, you could let us know ahead of time next time.
Andrew Glazer, you can Google it. If you're over 18, I should say.
No, Andrew's over 18.
Okay.
Andrew's over 18.
Oh, God.
There's no little kids up this late anyways. If they are, their parents are irresponsible.
My kids are awake watching TV right now.
It's as long as they're not on YouTube, because you can watch our show on there.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to Eric
Where are we
Stokes.
at?
Eric Stokes. Our consensus is 18 passes defensed, 4 interceptions, and 57 tackles. So Bryant and I are both high on passes defensed for Eric Stokes. Jake and Simon both had 16. Bryant had 18. I have 22. So Bryant, you want to maybe explain why you think high?
It's because Jair is such a monster that Stokes is going to get targeted more. And I think that's just he's around the ball, so I think that's just going to lead to more passes defensively. I think there's a chance he'll give up more yards this year, but I think with that, he's going to have some stats improve because he's going to get targeted more. That's why I have both him and Rasul actually going up a little bit in stats. I did have some interception regression for Douglas, but I think Stokes is going to I think Stokes will get 3 interceptions this year. I think hopefully he's been working on catching the ball because he was there. So I think he's got a good chance to have a.
Oh, he had 4 dropped interceptions.
4 drops last year, but I do think that he's just going to get targeted more, and that's going to give him more opportunities to get interceptions and passes defended. And that's my thinking on both him and Douglas.
That's why I have him as a high passes defense. I have him at 22 passes defense because, like we say, I believe he profiles as more of a lockdown corner than more of like a Jair Alexander type than a Trayvon Diggs type who kind of baits for interceptions and gets burned on some yards once in a while, or very often actually, as it happened last year. But I'm kind of similar on Rasul Douglas. I did end up having a high tackle number for Rasul Douglas, so we're going to switch to Rasul Douglas. Our consensus is 16 passes defensed, 4 interceptions, and 60 tackles. I have Rasul Douglas at 75 tackles. So when it comes to Rasul Douglas, I think it's worth mentioning that he took some snaps at free safety last week.
He did.
Being a ball hawk like Rasul Douglas is, I think that's actually a good way to keep him on the field a little more often. As opposed to teams waiting for teams to run 3 wide receiver sets or putting Rasul Douglas on a tight end or just taking Jair or Stokes out of the game. So I do have him for a high tackle number strictly for that reason, because I think they're going to try to keep him on the field. And I think like Stokes, like Jair, those two are going to get targeted, not allow a lot of receptions. I think Douglas does kind of allow more receptions than those two. I think it's not a shock to say that he's not a shutdown of a corner, but he's more of a guy to go and break on a route. So I think if he's allowing those receptions, I don't think he's going to be allowing guys to get by him and behind him. But if he gives up those receptions, that's where his high tackle numbers can come from.
Hearing Aaron Rodgers talk about his intelligence and the fact that he even in the same breath said Charles Woodson's name with Rasul Douglas, I 100% agree with you. If he plays any free safety, that those tackle numbers will go up, and I have the interceptions would probably go up too because he just knows how to read a defense. I don't know how we stole him last year, Chris. I'm just happy we did, and I'm more happy that he sealed the game against Arizona because that was awesome. Amazing. But yeah, like
back-to-back pick sixes.
I think you make a really good point that that's a way to get kind of Aaron Rodgers kind of said this on offense, right? You want your 11 best players on the field. So defense is going to want their 11 best players on the field. And right now, Rasul Douglas is in that top 11.
Say you're playing against the Minnesota Vikings. You get a holding penalty on first down. They get a short rushing yard or a short rush on second down, and they're looking at 3rd and 12. Who do you want playing deep safety if Darnell Savage misses week 1? Sean Davis or Rasul Douglas?
That's an easy question. Yeah. Douglas, easy.
Okay. So I have him at 18 passes defensed. Bryant has him at 17, and then I have him down for 6 interceptions. He had 5 in 9 games last year. Yeah. So I'm essentially adding 1 interception over 8 more games. Jake and Bryant both had him at 4, and Simon had him at 3. Bryant did also have him down for 65 tackles, so I'm not super far on the outlier there. But let's go to Devondre Campbell. Our consensus with Devondre Campbell is 6 passes defensed, 141 tackles, and 2.5 sacks. So I'm going to go to Simon on this one. Simon actually has low numbers projected for Devondre Campbell across the board, so I'm going to let Simon talk about Devondre Campbell a little bit.
I mean, it's not that I don't think he's going to regress. I just think our defense is going to get more 3-and-outs, if that makes sense. So it'll be less opportunity for the defense to be on the field, which equals less plays and tackles. So a lot of my stat projections, when I predict like low tackles and passes defense and stuff, that's what I think. I think our defense is going to take that next level step into that next tier of defenses and get off the field more. And then we're one of the slower played offenses in the league too. I think we were first in.
You're the time of possession guy.
Time of possession, yeah, last year. So taking that slow time, I just feel like it gives less opportunity for the defense to have those stats.
That makes sense. That's a good way to look at it.
All right, so we're gonna look at Kenny Clark. We were all really, really close on Kenny Clark. We have 8.5 tackles for loss projected, 49.5 tackles, 6 sacks for Kenny Clark. We're all really close on him. We're all excited for the defensive line being better to take some pressure off Kenny Clark and allow him some more opportunity. I don't know if anybody wants to say anything specific about Kenny, but we were all pretty close on the projections.
I'm excited. I think coming into the season, we're like, oh, man, it's going to be great to have Wyatt play it next time. I don't think it's going to be Wyatt as much anymore. He's still got some development, but it sounds like Jalen Rieger is just showing out right now. So I absolutely think that Clark's probably going to have, like, that defensive line, you're going to pick your poison. If they want to double team Clark, fine, then Jalen Rieger will get you. If they want to double team Jalen Rieger, then Gary might get you. So I think he's just going to go back.
Lowry is not a bad pass rusher to lose in that situation.
So, yeah. So exactly. So I just the depth I think is going to allow
Kenny to shine.
Clark to have some more one-on-ones, and he'll get back to his normal sack numbers and stuff like that. So
I'll tell you this: you guys remember the Vikings game last year? Kenny Clark absolutely buried the Viking center Bradbury about 4 times in the first half.
Didn't they take him out? Didn't they bench him?
Bro, yeah, he was getting his ass whooped. If they do not double Kenny Clark, Rashawn Gary is going to ruin week 1 for Minnesota. I'm predicting that right now.
Minnesota, like they have a good offense, but they're returning 4 of 5 starters from a poor offensive line.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations. And then you still have Kirk Cousins lining up underneath the fucking right guard. Idiots.
That was one time.
I forgot about that video.
Dude, he's gonna. I'm sorry, Chris. I don't even know you, but you seem like a smart guy. He cannot handle Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark is an absolute freaking beast up front, and he is going to kill your center if you don't double team. Like I said, you double inside. You're giving one-on-ones to Rashawn Gary. Are you nuts? Are you fucking nuts? You're not double teaming him with a tight end.
We didn't even stat out Preston Smith. We statted
Chris,
out Rashawn
you know how you
Gary.
posted. Chris, you posted how like Z Smith was looking great and in practices against San Francisco. That's exactly like literally Aaron Rodgers has been commenting on Rashawn Gary wrecking practices and frustrating. If I know you wouldn't watch it, but Dave Bakhtiari went on the Pat McAfee show a couple days ago, and he talked about like the defense causing Aaron Rodgers to throw like little temper tantrums on this because they're just in his face constantly with Rashawn Gary just wrecking practices.
Just wait, bro.
I can't wait.
We have Rashawn Gary for 10.5 tackles for loss, 52.5 tackles, and 14 sacks consensus. Jake, you were the highest on Rashawn Gary. I'm going to let you talk about him a little bit.
Yeah, so it kind of goes with the defensive line, right? Simon, my guy, was talking about the depth of offense and defense when we started this show, and that is where games are won, correct? So like I said, if you're going to double team at Kenny Clark, you're leaving a one-on-one for this absolute monster who has an endless motor, right? That's the thing that you all notice first about Gary is he's strong and he's not stopping until he hits something, right? So I see him, man, I honestly want to go bold and say that he actually might get 3 sacks in week 1 because I think that offensive line is that bad. I think that the Packers are going to do a lot of ball control. The Vikings play from behind anyways, but if the
I haven't
Packers
checked
get
if
them
Irv
behind,
Smith is going to play or not, so they might have to chip him if Irv Smith plays. But
I don't care if Irv Smith plays. He's not blocking him. He's not chipping him. Irv Smith's going to be the one getting chipped if he tries to chip Rashawn Gary. I'm expecting big things. I said earlier, a couple weeks ago, when we did a bonus episode, a Packers episode, that his ceiling for me is 17 sacks, and I really think that he has that potential.
I think you had him at 15.5. I believe.
Yep, that's what I picked. I met myself in the middle. I said his floor is 13 and his ceiling is 17. If he gets to 17, man, this defense is going to do some shit.
You remember less than 2 years ago when people said he was a bust?
Oh, I remember that. It was oh man, there's a Lions fan. What the hell is his name? He was long.
Greg? Melvin.
No, I like Greg, so don't say Greg. Greg's a nice guy. It was Melvin. Melvin was so big on him being a bust and saying he was bad because he's from Michigan and all that stuff. And now he's saying Hutchinson's going to be a monster. And then you see that photo of Hutchinson getting absolutely owned by a tight end when they're joint practice with the Colts. That's eye-opening for a second overall pick. I don't know if you guys saw that. I'll share it to you if you didn't. But
we'll see. Maybe we'll see what happens between now and when we do our first Packer preview of the season 2 weeks from now. Maybe we can take a look at our rankings now that we've done our consensus and see maybe if we need to make any adjustments. But last thing we have for the show today is our bold predictions. Does anybody, not Simon, want to go first and start throwing out their bold predictions?
I think we should go one at a time. I'll go first with mine because where it's leading what we just talked about.
Are we starting at 3 or starting at 1? Because I have my most bold.
You ranked yours?
I didn't rank.
I didn't rank. I'll just throw mine out. Ignore Jake.
Mine aren't in any specific order.
So my first bold prediction, which is not really that bold if you're talking to Jake, but it would be an upset, is I think that Gary will lead the NFC in sacks. Last year, Nick Bosa led the NFC in sacks and with 15.5. So I think that Gary, whatever it is, I've already said in our previous predictions that he'll be in the top 10 in the NFL for sure. I think there's a good
essentially
chance.
Putting him at 3rd after Myles Garrett and TJ Watt.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he'll lead the NFC in sacks and at 15.5 plus. So I'll say my bold prediction is like 17 sacks. Like he goes nuts, like for 17 sacks, and he leads the NFC. And we pay him $200 million this offseason.
Lifetime contract.
That's my first bold prediction is that Gary leads the NFC in sacks. It's bold, but doable.
Also doable. Yeah. All right, Jake, hit me with a bold prediction.
All right. So
give me number 3, your least bold. Give me your least bold one. Save the spicy ones for last.
Okay. Save the spicy ones for last. Okay. This one's kind of spicy. They're all spicy. Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon will both rush for 1,000 yards and receive for 500 yards each. That's far receiving core is actually as bad as the media is saying.
Yeah, well, that's fair. All right, I'll give one of mine because it does revolve around Aaron Jones. So I'm doubling down on an 80 reception season for Aaron Jones. It seems like him and Dillon will be on the field a lot together, which also bodes well for Jones in the passing game. And like I said, in addition to him being one of, if not Aaron Rodgers' most trusted target in the passing game. Simon, do you have anything you want to say that's bold? I'll give you an opportunity to.
That was exactly what I was just about to say. I have Aaron Jones is going to lead the Packers in receptions.
Okay,
That's
a little different, but still the same.
My second one featuring kind of.
Fed into what you were saying.
So my second bold prediction kind of leads into this one, where they will have all those yards. But my bold prediction is that Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon will be the most productive running back duo in all of the NFL. There were 3 duos more productive than them last year. It was Dallas, Denver, and Indy. So to pass Indy this year for last year, they would had to add 451 more yards. So I think that they will do that, and they will be the leading duo in the NFL. That they will be the leading running back duo in all-purpose yards in the NFL.
I like it. That's a good one. Jake, hit me number 2.
All right.
Sorry, I just saw
Packers-
that comment.
Yeah, that was a great comment, Andrew. The Packers will have the league's best defense, number 1 defense in the NFL, total yards, and they will force 40 turnovers.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's spicy.
Dude, hold on to this. I was
many
looking
did
at
they have
most
last year?
turnovers. I was looking at most turnovers in NFL history. There was like a freaking Broncos team from like 63 or something like that. They forced like 65 turnovers.
Holy cow.
Like, dude, the whole list, the top 10 is all 60 plus.
How many games was that when they played like 12 games or 14?
I didn't look
Could you
at
imagine averaging 6 turnovers?
but I was like looking at it and I was like, holy shit, bro.
The ball's just covered in Vaseline.
What would they do? Play the 2022 Bears every game?
Ooh. All right. Well,
Dang.
my next one is also on the defense. So Jake said turnovers. I think the Packers are going to allow the least amount of points in the NFL. So the Packers have arguably the best secondary in the league, an all-pro middle linebacker, 2 high-quality outside linebackers, what should be a very good front 7. If all these things come together and the defense is good in the red zone and on third down, teams will be doing a lot of punting and field goals, and touchdowns will be very hard to come by.
True that.
So I think the Packers could potentially allow the least amount of points in the NFL this season.
All right, Simon, pick one of us to piggyback off of.
Do you want to take Bryant's brother's one that he put in the comments?
He's a
Hell
freaking lizard
yeah.
king.
That's Sammy Watkins is the lizard.
No, we have
king.
2 Lizard Kings.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Fucking Lizard
They're
King.
both top
Lazard.
5 blockers at wide receiver in the NFL,
Yeah,
so
That is true.
that's why
too.
Sammy Watkins makes a lot of sense for the Packers.
Yeah.
All right, we can go back to Bryant if Simon is.
Oh no, I was waiting for you to say
Go
something.
ahead. All right, go ahead. Go.
All right. O'Connell will be an all-pro punter. I'm for it.
That is
Let's
bold.
do
Hey,
it.
That is
If you
bold.
wanna
enough.
That's
Yeah.
bold because we
Preseason
don't have
fight.
an O'Connor on our team.
I said O'Connell.
His name is O'Donnell.
O'Donnell. Fuck. That's what I meant.
I was just giving you the benefit of the doubt. But Brian's like, fuck that. That's my friend. I'm going out.
O'Donnell. Whatever.
I don't give
O'Doyle
a damn
rules. O'Doyle
how
rules.
many things we projected to be the same.
You know what's
Bro.
funny is I have his name written down like 3 times in my notes, and in the bold prediction, it's the only one that's spelled wrong.
I love this man.
Oh man.
What is happening today?
Okay, so my third bold prediction. Every year for the
O'Donnell.
last several years, I hope he is an all-pro punter. That would help with the special teams. That is in dire straits. But so every year, for the last like several years, there's been a receiver R2 that have gone over for 1,000 yards. So my bold prediction this year is that Christian Watson will lead all rookies in yards and be a finalist in the Offensive Rookie of the Year competition.
You're crazy.
That's bold, but I like
would.
it. I can see the path.
Isn't that
to
crazy? Is it if he averages 4 catches a game and he averages like 15 or 15 yards a catch, that puts him over 1,000 yards.
Yep. Because you need, what do you need? Like 60 yards a game?
50 something.
Yep, 60
Yeah.
yards a game essentially.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that's why we like doing these bold predictions, because yes, they are bold. They're the far leaning optimistic points of these. But the way that we do this is these are things that obviously would take a perfect storm of things going right, but there is a path to them happening. You know, it's not like we're saying that Aaron Rodgers is going to throw for 69,000 yards, 69 touchdowns, and no interceptions. You know, so why not?
Good question.
So, Jake, give me your last bold prediction.
Well, I like how you use that as a joke, and then my last one is about Rodgers setting the single season touchdown record with 56.
Wow.
I went there, dude. I went there. And I really was thinking about the defense giving short fields and LaFleur just kind of trying to stick it to everybody to be like, hey, fuck you. I can call an offense, and Rodgers has still got it. Maybe a lot of short touchdowns. I don't know.
Chris, like I said to Jake, why not? My last bold prediction is also on Aaron Rodgers, and I'm gonna yeah, that's the main reason why. Mine is Aaron Rodgers pulls a Brett Favre and wins 3 consecutive MVPs. If he takes a team of wide receiver 2s and rookies to another 12 and 13 win season, I don't know how you keep him out of that conversation.
I don't either, really.
Should be interesting.
It's a good one.
Go ahead, Simon. End it
All right,
off.
last one I got. Quay Walker leads the team in tackles. I think he's going to play enough on the field. I think he's going to get enough opportunities that he has a possibility of leading the team in tackles, and the way they're going to utilize him in some of the nickel packages and stuff.
He's got a nose for the ball, too, it seems like. So.
He's a good sideline to sideline dude. As someone alluded to it earlier a little bit, or maybe outright said it, but he's got some – he's like Devondre Campbell clone, legit.
That's essentially what we're looking at. It's between him and Campbell. That's really the guy that he's got to outpace.
Except he's huge. I like when they huddle up and Quay Walker is fucking head above everybody. He's fucking massive.
Did you see the thing? I saw it this morning. I don't know when it came out. And LaFleur was like, why do you stand in the back behind the team? See what?
I told you.
How bad were they to go 13 and 11?
They forced 68 turnovers.
3. That's a 3. That's a 3, Brian, not a 13.
3 and 11. I'm sorry, I'm just flabbergasted. How do you go 3 and 11 with forcing that many turnovers?
How do you not hit the 68 and not force one more?
Yeah.
Seriously, bro.
Pretty
Why
much
not
an all-time
69?
failure.
If the Packers force 69 turnovers, greatest season ever, dude.
How many did we force last year?
We're hanging a banner if they do that.
I'll find it. I'll hang a banner.
If the Packers find a way to force 69 turnovers, we're hanging a banner for that. I don't give a shit.
Oh, shoot.
The Vikings hang banners for division championships, so we can hang one for forcing 69 turnovers. It means the same. Do they have a QB from Chicago?
So, for reference, the Packers had 26 forced turnovers last year.
How many did they force in, what was it, 2011 they had the best defense? Or, 2010.
No.
That would have been 2011 Super Bowl.
Not the 2011.
That defense was bad.
But they did force a good amount of turnovers.
The 2011, they won the Super Bowl in 2011.
2010 Packers had 32 forced turnovers.
32.
Who led the league last year in it, and how many?
It was
let the dogs out.
Cowboys, and they forced 34.
Okay, so 6 over that. That's definitely bold. That would be awesome.
I'm for it.
All right. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining us again. We have no show next Friday, but then after that, we will have a show every Friday or one Saturday, every single week for the rest of the year. We're going to be talking about the Packers every week. So we're really looking forward to it. Having more of these discussions, more 69s, because why not? Like I said, let us know if you enjoyed the stat projections. We can certainly do more of those as the season approaches. We can get a couple more in when we do the preview. But it was a good show, guys. I don't know if anybody else has anything else they want to throw out there before we are done.
No, just ready for some real football and see how it goes.
Cody, we're just gonna stick to Packers. We don't all like the same like college or NBA teams, so me and Tyler are just gonna cover basketball.
College football will still be on Wednesdays. The Friday shows are gonna be just Packers, just so that we don't like this show on its own was about 2 hours. If we had added that to our hour and a half show that we did on Wednesday, we'd be looking at a 3.5 hour show. So we want to kind of break that up a little bit and give the time dedicated to the Packers that we feel it deserves. So not that the other teams don't, but when it comes to the Packers, that's the one that we break down the most. And their schedule is so condensed. There's 82 basketball games. There's 162 baseball games. There's 12 college football games and 30 college basketball games. So the Packers have the shortest season outside of the Badgers college football. So that's a lot of information and discussion that we want to pack into a 17 game season and then the playoffs. So that's what we're looking at with that. So.
Wait, holy shit! The Broncos had
just played each other for 14 games.
Holy crap,
I knew I saw that.
Wild.
That's why they were 3-11.
12-2. That makes more sense.
They probably San Diego got 20 of them against the Broncos.
They played them twice a year, probably.
Jeez, that's wild.
Alrighty. Well, if nobody's got anything else, I will see you guys on September 9th. That'll be our first preview of the season. We'll be talking Packers-Vikings preview.
All right.
See you guys then.